You're tuned in to the Daily BS.
Do you believe it?
Sports and culture combined into one.
Michael on the drive across the lane. Turnaround shot. Got it. 63 for Jordan.
Are you kidding me? He did what?
The Daily BS begins
Bazinga!
right now.
Great. Googly moogly.
Hadouken!
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Can't wait.
Well, you guys have heard my take on the All-Star Game throughout this week, and I want to thank you for tuning into the show. Somebody got mad at me for my take, and he said, "You know what, Snowman?" I said, "What?" He says, "I have to defend the new school." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, you're going to let me do it." So I'm going to let him. My good friend, the playmaker, Darnell Sollins, now joins me. What's going on, my friend?
Nothing much. Those are the playmakers this week. This is good.
Now, what did I say wrong in my assessment of the All-Star Game?
I wouldn't necessarily say what you said wrong. I just felt like you and Cole was bashing the All-Star Weekend this year a little too much. Just a little too much.
Really? Why?
So, like,
So of course you realize I'm going to have fun with this. You do realize.
Oh, I
that.
know. I know. The only person I'm missing is Cole.
So what?
I'm pretty sure he'll have a ball with me too.
If we don't have fun with this, then we're not doing our job. All right, man. Let me have it. Lay it out for me.
All right. So, number one, as you and Cole admitted, y'all didn't pass this in All-Star Weekend. That's first and foremost. So, by y'all not paying attention to All-Star Weekend, they did keep a running score for the All-Star Game.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
I know they did.
They did keep a running score. They, even though they had the score at the bottom, say second, the whatever quarter it was, and you starting to score. If you looked up at the top of the screen, you would have saw the total score.
My question is, what the hell did they do that for anyway?
So that everybody know what was going on. I'm pretty sure somebody heard Snowman talking about, why are you restarting the score? Why you can't keep running the score? Somebody must have heard you and was like, you know what?
You know
got
what?
a spot at the top of the screen.
You know what's
that
bad?
shows the total score.
You know what's bad? I had about 10 people at work tell me that. They heard that. They said, look, did you look at the top of the screen? No. Why didn't you look at the top of the screen? Because I was trying to find the radio call. And they start laughing. So what else do you have to defend?
I agree with y'all when y'all talk about the what y'all fail to mention
is
in the whole scheme of things, the three judges that gave that Duncan 9 on Aaron Gordon, Scottie Pippen, my dude Chad Winkler, Black Panther,
who?
And most importantly,
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade.
Who was the second person you said?
Chad, Black Panther.
Okay. So, why did Aaron Gordon get robbed again? Unfairly, I might add.
So apparently, they didn't say who, but one of the judges said somebody changed it. It was supposed to finish in a tie. But somebody said they need to pick a winner. So they had to come back and pick a winner. And doing so, you allow somebody like Dwayne Wade to, hand the trophy over to a Heat player.
Should have known. Because I was not impressed by Derrick Jones. I'm sorry.
See, that's not the thing. The thing is, Aaron Gordon had straight 50 until that last one.
And that should have been a 50.
How does somebody get 50 throughout the contest and lose?
Well, it happened Saturday night. Does that answer your question?
I mean, it was that. That was Tyree Roberts. So.
And while we're touching on the weekend, go ahead.
The 3-point contest. I heard y'all. And even though it wasn't star power for the 3-point contest, yeah, you can say adding the Mountain Dew balls might have been a little too much, but if you look at how the NBA played, those guys, that's what they normally shoot in games.
So back them up to the distance already. You don't need the Mountain Dew balls inside that contest.
But you have to admit what Buddy Hield put on a show when that 3-point.
Boring. I've seen better.
Oh, we all seen better. if you look at it, like, come on. Now.
He did. But
both
you gotta remember.
Both y'all coming from the aspect of Chicago '88.
You gotta remember.
Like 20 years later.
You gotta remember. I'm old.
I know that. That's
some
why
good
I said
stuff.
That's why I gotta come on here. I gotta bring them towards the new school way, because if you look at from the 90s to now, that's one of the best All-Star weekends we had in a long time. By the way, Stephen A. did get a check as expected on Friday night.
You saw that too.
that's the only reason I was looking. I'm like, Stephen A's coach. Oh, I can't wait to see this. And they did not give Stephen A. team whatsoever.
Well, they set it up that way. Who was broadcasting the game?
ESPN.
I rest my case.
They chose Wilbon over Stephen A. Smith.
Once again, who was broadcasting the game? Come on, say those 4 letters for me. Who was broadcasting the game? I rest my case. They were going to cheat Stephen A. And I mean this jokingly. They're already paying him like $10-12 million, which is going to be my salary in a couple of years. And yes, I'm putting it out there right now.
And both of y'all deserve it.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Hey, I want to give Cole Johnson a piece of the pie also, and you a piece of the pie also, man. It's time for some new school sports talk with the old school flavor coming back in. All right?
Ooh, I like that one. I definitely like that one.
I always say for my company, 21st century media with a 20th century feel. When people really listened in, that's the flavor that I want. Speaking of flavor, let's get to some questions for the second half of the NBA season. Okay, here's my first one, and I know you're going to have fun with this. Will Ben Simmons ever make a jump shot?
I can't remember what game it was, but he made some. But yeah, he'll shoot. He'll shoot a couple. He'll probably make some.
Okay, let me change my question. Will Ben Simmons make a jump shot consistently?
Hell no.
Exactly the answer that I was looking for, sir. More to the point, will Joel Embiid ever make a consistent jump shot?
The better question is, will Joel Embiid stay healthy enough?
You know what? That is a better question. Will Joel Embiid finish the season? There's a question for you right there. Will Joel Embiid finish the season?
Probably not. Might need to go ahead and take a page out of Kyrie Irving book, because Kyrie Irving don't look like he's trying to come back.
You know what they're going to do? Listen, Joel Embiid's not going to finish the season. While we're asking questions about the Eastern Conference, let's go to this one. Will Kyrie Irving ever get it together for his career? Because since 2016, he's fallen flat on his face.
To be honest, I think he is. think I know what the Nets and Kyrie Irving are doing.
Really?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good to play now, but they know who coming back next season.
If he comes back.
Oh, he's coming back. This dude's already shooting, and he ain't missed a start. He ain't missed a beat yet. I'm looking at this dude like, okay, well, wait till we get to the physical part. Then we'll know. And I'm pretty sure knowing Kevin Durant, he'll be ready.
So you think Kyrie Irving's just saving himself for when Kevin Durant comes back?
Oh yeah, don't nobody want to admit it, and why would you? But yeah, they saving it. Saving it for
this is why I love having you on, because you break stuff and I break stuff and no one believes us until they see it happen. 4 years ago, I correctly predicted Kevin Durant would sign with Golden State, and people called me crazy. And guess what happened?
Yeah.
So when Kevin Durant does come back and Kyrie Irving decides to get his head out of his ass, are they really a conference contender?
Top four.
Top four, huh?
Top four. They might struggle in the first part of the season.
I don't think
get that group together.
I don't think so. I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Durant's never played, and I'm going to say a couple of things that people are going to get mad at me about when it comes to the Nets, but I prefer speaking the truth, and I prefer putting it out there and saying it the way it needs to be said. Kyrie Irving is still a head case right now. What makes you think, and I want an honest answer to this from you, what makes you think that Kevin Durant's appearance in a Nets uniform is going to calm him down and set him straight? I want an honest answer to that.
What happened in 2016?
So you're comparing Kyrie Irving to Russell Westbrook?
What happened? No.
So how do you think? So how do you think Durant
Kyrie
going
Irving had a front row seat of watching Kevin Durant destroy him and LeBron?
Well, we all know that. And he's going to have another front row seat when the Warriors destroy him again.
Kyrie Irving's a one-time champion. Kevin Durant's a three-time champion.
I don't trust him. I'm sorry. After 2016, I don't trust Kyrie, healthy or not.
All thing Kyrie needs to do is shut up. That's it. Because once he's on the court, he is a show.
Bah. He was once upon a time. Bah. But I am willing to see what happens. So we shall see what happens. Between the Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors, who gets out of that? Who gets out of that matchup?
I like Boston instead.
Okay. We'll see. Now let's move to the West. Okay. A lot of people are not going to like this question, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Do the Lakers actually have enough of a team to get to the Western Conference Finals, let alone the World Championship Series?
Hold on. So you said people ain't going to like this question, correct? Those who do that to you, they haven't been paying attention to the news. There's a point guard who was just released from Detroit by the name of Reggie Jackson, and is going to sign with the LA Clippers.
Yeah. My question's about the Lakers.
What made y'all think the Lakers going to have a shot against the Clippers?
They don't have a shot against them now. There's the point.
They already had Paul George. They already had Kawhi Leonard. Even before they came here, they already had Patrick Beverley.
Mm-hmm.
They already had Lou Williams. They already had Harold. Now you're going to add Kawhi Leonard, Paul George to that team, and now you're going to add Reggie Jackson to that team?
How is Reggie Jackson going to fit with the Clippers?
Reggie Jackson gives them another point guard. So anytime when you want to give Patrick Beverley a rest and not have Lou Williams, do do most of the work in the field, like a shooting guard, a scoring guard, there's Reggie Jackson. And by the way, if need be, Reggie Jackson can take over the game too.
I like. We'll see what happens. That's the playmaker, Darnell Solins, joining me to talk some post-NBA All-Star game and get ready for the second half of the season. Thanks a lot, my friend. I'm going to invite you back because we're going to talk some college basketball too. But thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I'll be ready for that.
Well, I hope y'all are ready. We got some more stuff coming up for you after this. Okay, folks, I've had some great guests on the show in the 6 years that I've been active in hosting this show. But this gentleman that I'm about to reintroduce to you guys, I had him on once, and that was a mistake because I should have had him on a lot more times. And now so much was going on with me off the mic. And then, just recently I got married, moved to North Carolina. He and I finally are getting together to give y'all an education on the NBA. He is the host of Beyond the Buzzer and also the Around the Association podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good brother, Danny Thompson. He joins me right now. It's good to talk to you, my friend. It has been a while.
Mr. Snow, it's a pleasure. And yes, it has been a while, but we're not, after this conversation today, we will not make this a long-term not speaking again.
We won't. We won't. I mean, he paid me a great compliment before we came on, and he said to me, it's good to see you come from nothing to be where you are now. And I say this to you, A, thank you, and B, we still have a couple of mountains to climb because there's some stuff that we need to do. And I truly appreciate your words.
Hey, the thing is, it's always uplift. We always try to uplift one another no matter the situation. And the thing is, respect remains respect and iron sharpens iron. So, we always have to uplift and motivate each other. And because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all just trying to do this for a living and what we love to do. So I love it.
And I love it also. All right, man. I have picked on you mercilessly for many years now. This poor guy, I've picked on him, when he spreads his, you got to go check out the Around the Association podcast. I'm a faithful subscriber and listener. I love the podcast. I tease him mercilessly when it comes to the subject of the NBA because A, I like teasing him, and B, he usually knocks me down about 5 pegs with his knowledge, which is why I brought him on. And, like I said, we tease each other. We're brothers on the microphone. And, man, again, it is great to have you on so we can get some NBA chatter going. I truly appreciate it.
Let's rock it, bro.
Let's rock it indeed. The second half of the season is here. And what I want to do, I want to pose some questions about some teams. And we'll start in the East. One of the teams that has been ballyhooed all season long, but in my eyes hasn't gotten to that level yet, is the Philadelphia 76ers. Here are my two reasons. Lack of a jump shot for Ben Simmons, lack of health for Joel Embiid. Your thoughts?
I wrote about this I posted an article about this on the website around the association yesterday. The Philadelphia 76ers are the Jekyll and Hyde of the NBA this season. And I say it this way because at home, they are a monster. They're 25-2 at home this year.
Right.
But they're 9-19 on the road. It's one of the biggest differences in the NBA. And when I say differences is because they win by about 10 points a game at home.
And they
give
lose
up
by
10 more points a game
on the road.
The good news for Sixer fans.
You would think they would be playing at the old Spectrum in Philadelphia, the way they are at home. You'd think they'd be back at the Spectrum.
The crazy thing, they have a better home record than the Milwaukee Bucks, who is on pace to win 70 games this year.
That's frightening.
So the Sixers, the good news for Sixer fans is that acquiring Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III will help the bench. The other good part is they're now going to bring Al Horford off the bench because when they traded for Al Horford, it was one of the most head-scratching moves of the entire summer because you have two guys. Now, mind you, Horford's a great passer, but Horford doesn't stretch the floor like most stretch forwards do.
Yes. So
it didn't seem like it was a great fit. And yes, you're right. Ben Simmons still hasn't developed a jump shot, and we're still 5 years into it, and it's still not happening. I don't find it happening soon. The one thing with the Sixers is that they can get themselves in a playoff series. They match up very well with Boston. They match up very well with Miami.
Right.
They can mess with Toronto now because Toronto doesn't have Kawhi Leonard. If they end up with Milwaukee, it's see you later.
Yeah,
they have no answer for Giannis. And I'll say this: the other part with the Sixers that's scary is that they miss Jimmy Butler more than you would think.
Well, yeah,
because Jimmy Butler is a closer. Just like in the movie Boss Baby, ABC always be closing. The Sixers don't have that guy. And as much as I love Tobias Harris,
he ain't that closer.
He's not a closer.
He's not a closer.
He's a good ball player. But he's not a guy that I will sit here and say he will put fear in me at the end of games. And that's why the Sixers cannot get past maybe the second round or even the Eastern Conference Finals, depending on the matchup.
I don't see them going past the second round. I mean, the hell with the Eastern Conference Finals, unless Ben Simmons decides to become a closer like everybody's making him out to be, I don't see him getting out of the second round. I don't see it.
Josh Richardson better start hitting jump shots in the fourth quarter. That's what I'm saying.
Jeez, and y'all thought I was bad with some of these takes, okay? But it's truth, though. If you watch, it's truth. Now, I move to this question as we stay in the East. What the hell is wrong with Brooklyn? The New Jersey Nets?
Well, let's do it this way. You know, Brooklyn, if you had the high expectations for Brooklyn when the season started, you're going to be highly disappointed. And it's not because of Kyrie Irving, because your best player is coming off the most debilitating injury in the history of the NBA that has conquered more players than we can think of. And, Snowman, you are an old school, you're an old school fiend.
Yes.
The only player that ever survived the Achilles is Dominique Wilkins.
Dominique Wilkins, yep. He went to play on
94.
Yep, he played 5 more seasons after he came back from that injury.
And he averaged 30 points a game the year he came back.
Yep.
He's the only player to survive and become the player he was. So it's not looking good for Kevin Durant. So if you're expecting the Nets to do anything major this year, you should have been sadly mistaken. Now, Kyrie Irving was hurt the entire season. He hurt his shoulder early part of November, and now he took cortisone shots and will have to have surgery if he's not already had it. The Nets have a problem right now. And it's not because of Kyrie Irving. The Nets knew they weren't going to be no more than a 7 seed anyway. Okay, the Nets' job is to basically avoid, and just like the Orlando Magic and other teams in the East, if you make the playoffs, avoid the 8 seed. At least if you're at 7, you have a fighting chance to win a game or two in the playoffs. Because if you run into the buzzsaw up in Milwaukee, you're going to get destroyed in the first round.
Forget it.
It's a first round sweep.
Forget it.
Brooklyn now has a very interesting question in the offseason. With Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant coming back, okay, fully healthy, what to do with Spencer Dinwiddie? Spencer Dinwiddie, be honest with you, before Kyrie Irving returned to the lineup, was an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a guy that can give you 20 points a game, and he plays with he plays hard every night.
Yes, he does.
Now, when you get Kevin Durant coming back, you get Kyrie Irving coming back, you have Karis LeVert. What to do about Spencer Dinwiddie? That's the real question.
Yeah,
it's not like Brooklyn's going to do anything in the playoffs. Let's be honest; they're a first-round snack.
Yes,
they're going to be a first-round snack for anybody, with or without Kyrie Irving. And I love Kyrie.
It. He said first-round snack.
They're going to be a first-round snack for whoever they end up with in the playoffs.
I know it. I know it. Oh my Lord! I got to use that now. First-round snack. I bet you my wife's going to get a hold of this phrase and she's going to use it on me one of these days. I absolutely know that's going to happen. Let's stay in the East, shall we?
Trademark, by the way.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. Let's stay in the East. Boston, Toronto. Do either one of those two get to the World Championship Series?
Both of them. Actually, no, the funny thing is we looked at Toronto when the season started. You're thinking they lost Kawhi Leonard, they lost Danny Green. Okay, they're going to be not so good. Kyle Lowry missed a whole bunch of time, and then Pascal Siakam might even be the most improved player for the second consecutive year in a row, which is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
Then there's a guy who was hitting big shots in the finals last year who took into Kyle Lowry's role, and that's Fred VanVleet. The Raptors are the only team in the NBA that has built their team with guys from the G League and undrafted free agents. If you look at Keo guys' rotation, you look at VanVleet, who wasn't drafted. Pascal Siakam was a late first-round pick that was part of the G League team. You look at Chris Boucher, you look at Terrence Davis, you look at Norman Powell. If you want to go back and see how good the Raptors was, look at the team that Jeff Weltman and those guys built with Masai Ujiri.
Yeah. Go
back to Raptors 905. Which is their G League team that was coached by Jerry Stackhouse. That was the most dominating G League team in the history, I think, of that entire league. The Raptors, I think, are fine. They're just like the Boston Celtics. They're a matchup situation. Is the further you get away from Milwaukee and the longer you have to get to them, the better chance you have of getting to the conference finals.
Gotcha.
Boston has all the talent. The problem with Boston is that do they have enough rim protection? There is no Al Horford. There's no Aaron Baines.
Right.
Robert Williams has moments. Enes Kanter can't guard a can of paint, but Enes Kanter is good for a double-double. So that means you're relying on Daniel Theis and a whole bunch of other guys. Jason Tatum is a monster.
Yes.
Kemba Walker is perfect in the situation.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown could be an all-star for almost any other team. And Gordon Hayward is back to being Gordon Hayward.
Yes.
The Celtics have everything, and Brad Stevens can coach one of the best after timeout guys in the entire league.
Yes, he is.
Both of them are contenders. The longer you stay away from Milwaukee, the better.
So you think Milwaukee can actually get over the hump this time?
There's one team, and I'll say, I know you might think me crazy, that should scare the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs.
And that team
without looking at the top brackets. The Indiana Pacers.
Yes. Yes. If
Victor Oladipo rounds into form, you have Malcolm Brogdon, who was basically given away by the Bucks.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than a playoff series than a guy who has motivation. We see this in every sport possible. The weakness of the Milwaukee Bucks, ironically, is their $18 to $20 million a year point guard, Eric Bledsoe.
Right.
Bledsoe has been eaten alive in the playoffs by point guards the last couple of years. How did Terry Rozier get a $58 million deal from Charlotte? Go back to 2 years ago when Kyrie Irving was hurt and Rozier became Scary Terry in that Bucks series.
Yep.
Eric Bledsoe's a very good point guard, but he gets eaten alive in the playoffs.
That he does.
It happens. And you get Malcolm Brogdon. You have Oladipo. You have T.J. Warren. Because when T.J. Warren scores over 20 points, I think the Pacers are 17-3 this year. I want to say. I think I wrote about it on the website. They have Sabonis, who was an all-star. Miles Turner, who's one of the better rim protection in the league. And don't forget about Aaron Holiday and Jeremy Lamb.
Right.
The Pacers can give the Bucks all types of fits.
Yep, they can give them the blues. They can really give the Bucks the blues.
They're dangerous.
Yeah.
But Oladipo has to round the form. Oladipo has not shot the ball very well. He's relying too much on a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
He's got to get his mind. And I know it's difficult coming off that injury. It's been 12 months. He's going to have to get his aggression back. We got 6 weeks.
Yeah.
If he gets that aggression back by early April, and the Pacers can get out of round one with a second round matchup with the Bucks,
it's on and
dangerous.
popping. It's on and popping with Indiana, and I'm really pulling for the Indiana Pacers. I got quite a few reasons. A lot of them are old school reasons, but I'm really pulling for the Indiana Pacers. Final question on the Eastern Conference: Who gets that number 8 spot?
The question is, who really wants the 8 spot? If you look because here's the thing, I was writing about it on the website so you're down to about maybe 3 or 4 teams in that 7-8 fight. Mm-hmm. Okay, Brooklyn's got the advantage. Orlando's at 8. Orlando's 3 games in front of Washington, who's also right in front of Chicago.
Yes.
The thing is, Orlando has one of the easier schedules down the stretch.
Right.
The problem with Orlando is that Evan Fournier has been really good. Vucevic is pretty much doing the same thing he did last year, but Terrence Ross is still playing from 2 years ago.
Right.
This is not the same Terrence Ross that was finding and hitting everything.
Yes.
Markelle Fultz has been better than advertised.
Mm-hmm.
The Magic don't have their best defensive player. Their 2 best defensive players are out the rest of the season. There's no more Jonathan Isaac the rest of the year. Don't expect him to come back. Al-Farouq Amino's been out since November.
Yeah.
The Magic right now are playing a situation where Aaron Gordon is playing basically power forward, and they're going to have to start James Ennis because Wes Iwundu and whoever they put at small forward is not working because you have to keep Ross coming off the bench because you're running out of firepower. On top of that, the Washington Wizards, ironically, have a good chance of making the playoffs. But if you're the Wizards, do you really want to make the playoffs? The Wizards, they're 3 games behind the Magic.
You mean the Washington Bullets or Wizards?
Listen, the team that used to play in Landover. That team, yes. There's 3 games. There's 3 games behind the Orlando Magic right now for the 8th spot in the playoffs.
You touched my heart with that
Bradley
statement. You touched my heart with that statement. Bringing up the old Capitol Center.
Yes, the old Capitol Center with the old Bullets jerseys, watching Rasheed Wallace and Chris Webber play together. That's
Rasheed Wallace, Chris Webber, where John Thompson would roam when he coached Georgetown.
Yes. But to be honest with you, got Bradley Beal, who's still mad about making the All-Star team, averaging 29 points a game. Davis Bertans has basically proven the fact of he's more than just a system player in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. Rui Hachimura has played really well. Thomas Bryant. They've gotten guys who can play the game. Washington could sneak in if Orlando can't find ways to score the basketball.
True.
Orlando's the worst scoring team in the NBA.
Yep.
The thing is, and the one thing that Steve Clifford had hanging his hat on was defense. The Magic's defense is not the same as it was last year. They have to go on a run. The other team that's in the race is the Chicago Bulls, ironically. I know you're a whole time Chicago Bulls.
Yep.
As bad as the defense has been, as many injuries the Bulls have, they're within 5 games of the Magic. Okay, you can't.
And they can get on a run. They have the tool. It's just the Bulls have been. Help. Yeah, they got to get some help. They got to get some help. It's the Bulls have been so beat up. Yeah, they've been so beat up this part of the season up until the All-Star break. Oh my goodness!
I think Carter's missed 20 games. Marcus missed about 10. They're without Chris Dunn. Otto Porter's been gone since like the 10th game of the season. So they've missed a lot of guys this year.
Yeah, they have.
Now, and here's the thing: Chicago, Washington, is it really worth potentially losing a top 5 pick? Because the way the lottery set up last year, you can finish anywhere and end up potentially with a high draft choice. Is it worth it to go on a run and become a first-round snack once again for the Milwaukee Bucks? I think it's going to be Brooklyn. I think it's going to be Orlando.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't shock me if Washington caught Orlando, because outside of Chicago, the rest of the teams in the East aren't going to do much damage because Clint Capella is going to be out for an extended period of time in Atlanta. And there's a dumpster fire going on in New York, a dumpster fire going on in Cleveland, and a dumpster fire going on in Detroit. And Charlotte, Charlotte can't seem to get themselves out the way in the fourth quarter. They play good for 3 quarters, but somehow can't keep things together in the fourth quarter, and they're not consistent. So that's your Eastern Conference pretty much in a nutshell.
And Zach LaVine beat them with a buzzer beater in Charlotte earlier this year.
Yeah, but that's also the same game that the Hornets had a 10-point lead with 4 minutes left in the game. They're used to it.
Oh, they had a 10-point lead with 65 seconds left. They had a 10-point lead in that game against the Bulls with 65 seconds left, and the Bulls caught them and passed them, thanks to Zach LaVine. Okay.
Zach LaVine turned to Reggie Miller. I understand. I'm a diehard Hornets fan when I'm not covering the league. It is what it is. I'm used to it.
I love it. All right, let's go to the Western Conference. And I'll begin with this question. And it's a question that people hate asking. Hell, people at work hate me asking this question, but it's a true one that needs to be posed. Do the Lakers have enough to get to the Western Conference Finals, let alone the World Championship Series?
Yes, they have even with the point guard situation not being where it is and the Lakers not having a consistent outside threat on that scares you. The fact of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, let's just say they're the best duo in the league. I mean, even better than the duo that shares the same building. The only difference is that the Lakers need Kyle Kuzma to do something and find himself. The Lakers do have they do have a wild card. DeMarcus Cousins is back practicing and getting himself in shape with a potential return in April. If DeMarcus Cousins can come back in some shape or form, he's not playing heavy minutes. Dwight Howard's been playing well, and they have JaVale McGee. But Cousins gives them another weapon. The Lakers better hope they can find somebody in the next 12 days that can either help the point guard situation or find them a long-range shooter. Maybe a J.R. Smith, maybe Dion Waiters. I know those aren't really, really scary full names, but it's just depth.
I'm sorry.
The Lakers need all the help they can get.
You had me laughing mentioning J.R. Smith. The last time he played with LeBron was 2018, and we know how that turned out.
Listen, but J.R. Smith provides something the Lakers do not have enough consistency of. Is a guy who can knock. I mean, as much as we laugh at J.R. Smith for the timeout, and we laugh at other things J.R. Smith does off the court, wearing no shirt on a regular basis, that's fine. But when J.R. Smith is dialed in and he's actually on the court, J.R. Smith is a lightning rod. When he hits a jump shot or two, he's one of the more dangerous shooters in the league. I'll be honest with you. If I'm the Lakers and can't find a point guard, there's one sitting in Seattle right now that is clamoring for a job. His name is Jamal Crawford.
Yeah.
Someone needs to go make that phone call.
Somebody needs.
But I still think they're the favorites to win the whole thing. Actually,
somebody needs to make a phone call and say, "Hey, bring back the Seattle SuperSonics." But then I digress. Who gets?
Yeah, they gotta go get the arena first.
Yeah, I know. Quit reminding me of that. Just let me dream for a couple of moments about the return of the Seattle SuperSonics. Who's the Lakers snack in the first round? Who gets that number 8 spot? Who becomes a snack for the Lakers in the first round of the West playoffs?
I don't know if it's a snack because the Memphis Grizzlies are really good.
Yeah, that they are.
But the Portland Trail Blazers are starting to get their health back. Yusuf Nurkic and Zach Collins are due back sometime in the first couple days of March. If the Blazers get those two guys back, it's going to basically strengthen a rotation that's very thin outside of Hassan Whiteside.
Yep.
You get Collins back, you get Nurkic back. Even if they're not playing heavy minutes, the fact of it's able bodies. Mm-hmm. We all know how dangerous Damian Lillard is.
Yes.
And CJ McCollum.
And they've missed Nurkic. They have missed Nurkic.
Even though Whiteside's been really good, better than advertised.
Yeah.
They're not very deep on that front line. They had to use Scal Levister. They've had time to use rookie Nasir Little at that 4 position. Carmelo Anthony played a lot of the 4. He played really well.
Yeah.
The thing is, without Zach Collins on the floor to grab rebounds and hit jump shots, and Nurkic being able to be a bully in the paint, you put Nurkic and you put Whiteside together as a duo.
Yeah.
Collins and you have Carmelo at the 4.
Mm-hmm.
The Blazers become much deeper. They acquired Ariza a couple. I think they got Ariza as well too.
Yeah.
The Blazers are starting to get home. If they're within 5 games, within 3 or 4 games of the Grizzlies, they can make a run at this because Damian Lillard is the difference between the Blazers and the Grizzlies. That as good as John Moran is, he's not a superstar. Damian Lillard is. There becomes the difference.
Yeah, that is the difference.
Also, don't sleep on the New Orleans Pelicans. They're 5 games out. But the Pelicans are getting healthy.
But how far can Zion carry them? There's my question. My question lies with Zion. How far can he carry them?
I think Zion is not about the fact Zion carrying them. It's how much can Brandon Ingram carry and Drew Holiday carry them.
Gotcha.
Zion's going to be that guy, but Brandon Ingram's an all-star. Drew Holiday was considered to be an all-star. The Pelicans have a lot of things to concern themselves with,
mm-hmm.
but one thing you have to realize is that, and I know Snowman, you're all about numbers. You're all about like trends.
You know how I am. You know how I am.
The Pelicans are going to have to start winning games, but here's a magical number for the Memphis Grizzlies. It's the number 20. The Grizzlies are 17-1 when Dylan Brooks scores 20 or more points in the game.
Really?
They have beaten the Rockets. They've beaten the Jazz. They've beaten Denver, and they've beaten the Clippers this season when Dylan Brooks has scored 20 points. If he gets 20 points down the stretch, like the old saying, law is law, it's wrap. Like when the Clippers get to 100, first team gets to 100, it's a wrap.
Okay.
If Brooks gets to 20, by rule, the Grizzlies are almost unstoppable. And that's the thing. As long as Dylan Brooks is scoring, the Grizzlies will maintain 8, but Damian Lillard is too dangerous. So I need to know when Nurkic and Collins is coming back. If it's early March, then I think the Blazers got a shot at this. But otherwise, it's Memphis is going to be a first-round opponent for the Lakers.
Last question. How big of a dumpster fire is it in Houston?
Houston's not a dumpster fire. And I'll tell you this for the reason being. When they acquired DeMarre Carroll and they acquired Jeff Green within the last 48 hours, it's now to the point where I wrote it, and my article's coming out tomorrow about this. It's about, okay, who's the backup center? Because PJ Tucker is a starting center right now. The backup center right now, I guess, is going to be, Jeff Green is going to be DeMarre Carroll. I don't think they're going to dust off Tyson Chandler, and Hartenstein is not going to make much of a difference in the playoffs. Yes, it's going to hurt they didn't go get somebody with a little bit more size. It wouldn't shock when they went and got Kenny Fried over the next 10 days to do something. It's not a dumpster fire because the problem is, for every team in the West with the exception of the Dallas Mavericks, who is going to be able to outshoot the Houston Rockets in the playoff series? Especially if they're hitting shots. If Harden and Gordon and Covington, and they're all hitting shots, Austin Rivers. I'm even saying Austin Rivers in this. I'm really like scaring myself. You have all these guys hitting shots.
You know
there's only one team.
Yeah, you know how you scared yourself? You said if. You said if. But you put the words if and Rockets in the same sentence.
Listen, we've seen more interesting groups with the Rockets before, and they've gotten deep in the playoffs.
True.
The Rockets get the right matchup. Let's say they end up with Utah in round 1. They can outshoot the Jazz in round 1. Because the thing is, if you're spreading the floor, that means you're not really trying to deal with Rudy Gobert, which takes away the Jazz's best weapon on defense. That means you're making Donovan Mitchell and Joe Ingles and those guys have to defend on the perimeter and deal with James Harden. You can beat the Jazz in the first round series. Okay, let's just say you end up with Dallas in the first round.
Right.
Dallas is the only team in the NBA that can shoot with the Rockets. Dallas is the NBA's best 3-point shooting team. Mm-hmm. They have 4 guys that average over 2 3-pointers made a game. Mm-hmm. You got 4 of them. Okay, that's a different matchup. Can they beat a team like Denver in the playoffs? Unless Gary Harris can find himself, Denver can't go past. Gary Harris has been bad this year.
Yeah, he has.
Denver has every other piece to be a team in the finals. You have an all-around stud at center. You have a lead guard that's not scared of the moment in Jamal Murray. We saw him in the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. He took his game to another level. You have veterans who are interchangeable that do the little things, and Paul Millsap and Jeremy Grant and Plumlee. You got you have a human torch off the bench and Will Barton.
Right.
The only thing they're missing is Gary Harris is one of the best defenders in the league. Mm-hmm. Gary Harris has to hit shots.
True.
If he's hitting shots, then Denver is dangerous in the playoffs. They can beat the Clippers. They can beat the Lakers in the playoff series. But Gary Harris has to hit shots. Yeah. And that's going to be the difference between Denver making the finals and being eliminated. But, yeah, the team, like I said, I'm looking forward to in the playoffs. I want to see what Luka does in Dallas. But that's another story for another
day. We'll talk Luka next time. Man, thank you so much for coming on to the program. This is Danny Thompson. Check him out, folks, around the Association Podcast and Beyond the Buzzer. And I think I'm going to have to throw my spider webs and yank him in each week for some more NBA conversation. If he's interested, I'd love to have you, man. I would love to have you.
Oh, we'll get the schedule together, brother. It's all right.
We will. We will get it together. Thanks a lot, my man. Appreciate the time.
Always.
Well, there's more coming up in a flash. Wonderful show called Black in Business. I figure with this being Black History Month, I'm going to return the favor. On the hotline with me is one of the fellows who's in charge of said podcast. This is Andre Day, and he joins me right now. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, my brother. How are you?
I am doing great. First of all, let me say thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me come on to your podcast and spreading some knowledge and spreading some love for the other podcasters, the other independent show hosts that do this just like we do. I can't thank you enough for that.
Man, listen, I tell you, I can't thank you enough for being on the show, because you gave more than what I even thought was going to be given. Like, I thought it was going to be like, regular run of the mill, and then we end by spreading love and showing love to brothers and almost putting us to tears, man. So I thank you a whole bunch for that. Thank you for being on the show.
That was one of the things I really wanted to touch on, and it's something, my wife tells me all the time. She says, maybe that can be part of your message, as well as you having fun doing your sports show. Maybe you can drive that point home. And this is the point that I've driven home, for the time that she and I have been together and for a while now. There is not enough help out there in many ways for men. Let's take color out of the equation. There's not enough help out there for men who need to get back on their feet, who desire to get back on their feet, and for those who want to stay on their feet. That's why I love talking about that particular message, and I'm glad you helped me spread that message when I was on your show.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One of the things, and also one of the reasons that caused me to start the show was I wanted to spread a message not only for African Americans, but also just for the wider generation in general. A lot of individuals my age, both male and female, I don't believe they have the same drive that people before us had. And then also with that, a lot of people don't get, like you said, enough assistance to start. And I believe it starts from, like, when we grow up, where we're taught certain things and then just kind of let go, and then just like, oh, you're an adult, you can do it. But you get a totally different, you get like a totally different viewpoint of what adulthood is. And then when you kind of reach back out for help, there's nobody there to help you. So, spreading love and showing love to men is something that we need to do every day. Like, every moment of every day you have, say I love you to a man. It'll help out a whole lot.
And this is what a lot of men don't get. Well, a lot of men get it, but they don't voice it aloud. And I was guilty of such. I said I love you to my dad and my granddad and my uncles every day that they were here. They've all passed on now. But I don't mind one bit saying I love you to a man who is very close to me. There are some broadcasters who I say it to, and I say it live on this show. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. In fact, it's a wonderful thing to communicate that, for men to communicate that to each other without having this too PC world misconstrue why we're saying that to each other. It needs to be said a lot more often.
Yeah. And I think also it needs to be said in a way where when you say it with confidence. I feel like if I say it to you, I'm only going to say it when it's only you and I. Like, certain people don't want other people to know that I said I love you. But it shouldn't be that way. Just as well as it doesn't matter if you show affection and love to your wife. People don't want to see that, but you don't care because it's between you and your wife. So I think the same thing should be from man to a man. Like, if I love you, I don't have a problem with giving you a hug, showing you affection, saying I love you, say I appreciate you, taking care of you, things of that nature. And it really doesn't matter what other people say or how they look at me or what they may think, because it's not for them to, it's not for them. It's for me and you. So as long as you and I have the understanding, I can honestly care less about what other people think.
And that's
really where I think a lot of people don't show it, is because they believe or think, oh, I don't want this person to think differently of me or what this person might say. And it really is affecting you more than what you may know.
It really is. It really does affect the person that, thinks aloud and thinks constantly about what other people think. I've had to learn from other people, my wife included, and my daughter and my son included. You can't think about what people say or think about you. That's just going to affect you. Do I have my days where I slip back into that? Absolutely. And I say that I say that aloud, and I say that with conviction, because I'm still learning a lot from my wife and her family, and I'm learning a lot about myself at the same time. Being on your show where I was allowed to express what I felt, and not just in the sports world, but just in life, that meant a lot to me. I can't thank you and your partner enough for allowing that to happen and allowing that message to be spread. That needs to be spread more often. So if men can communicate like that, do you know how different this country, let alone this world, will be?
I think people are afraid of what might happen. When I grew up, I saw a lot of things in person and a lot of things that are on TV that don't really show men loving each other. So adults now that are in my age bracket, late 20s, early to mid 30s, don't have that I love you type of mentality. So what happens in turn is that you have an issue, you deal with it by yourself, and then when you don't know how to get the results you need to make a better outcome for yourself, you start lashing out and doing things that you normally wouldn't do. So to answer your question, if we express love to one another more often, I think we would have, number one, happier individuals. And number two, we would be able to think more clearly and start doing things that would help us with a better life instead of putting us where we are in that mentality of crabs in a barrel, trying to keep everybody down. We would want to see everybody move up. So I think it would have an effect that I don't think the world is ready for on the African American side. Like, if we really put our minds together and stick to one another, I think we can be, actually, I know we can be a force to be reckoned with.
Where did you grow up? Let's find out more about Andre. Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in New York. I'm originally from Brooklyn. Both my parents are from New York. I lived in New York for about 7 or 8 years or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. And then I moved to New Jersey for about a year or two. And after New Jersey, I moved to Maryland. And I've been here in the Maryland, D.C. area since, let's say, 9th grade or so.
Wow.
9th or 10th grade. Yeah.
Wow. So you're originally from New York. I can hear that accent come out. Where's your sports loyalties lie? Which teams get you at the heart?
Well, I am a football fan, so my first team at heart would be the Giants.
Good man.
I also like to see the Jets every once in a while, just because they're also New York. I don't really watch a lot of baseball, but it does feel nice and feel good to see the Yankees do something well.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I would say basketball. I was into the Celtics, but after they dismantled the Kevin Garnett and the Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, I kind of spread away from the Celtics. Right now, I'm just kind of open. I like kind of any basketball team as long as it's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really watch a lot of hockey, but people tell me I need to get into it because it's a really good and interesting sport. And that's really about it for sports.
Now, I'm going to tease you because I do have love for the New York Football Giants. I loved it back in the day when Bill Parcells and Bill Walsh would hook up and go at it, be it at the old Giant Stadium or at old Candlestick Park. You're not into basketball that much?
Not like I used to. No. Like I said, I used to be a Celtics fan, but once they dismantled that amazing team, I just kind of, I don't know, I went away.
Good. Then I can say Michael Jordan and get away with it.
I mean, yeah. Hey, listen. Even though you don't watch basketball, you know who Michael Jordan is.
Yes. Thank you.
He was on the Wheaties box. He was on every magazine. I mean,
he was all over the place.
Any country, yeah, you walk into any country and say MJ, there's only one person that, I mean, they might do Michael Jackson, but only those two have MJ. There's no other MJs that are prominent in everybody's mind. So, yeah, you're fine with Michael Jordan. That's cool.
So true. And I've spoken to a couple of hardcore Knicks fans, and I kid them a lot. And I said, well, I guess I can't say Michael Jordan, and they start growling at me. But then we all start laughing at it. But I love having conversations like this during the show that gives people the other side of the shows and the podcasts that I do. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, and you got to tell me how did you get your podcast started?
Well, in a previous job I had, I was just kind of sitting in the office, and it was a Friday afternoon, I believe. And I'm just sitting there pondering, like, what else can I do besides work every day, same job, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on Saturday, and just go home. Like, there has to be something else I can do. So I started just thinking, like, I'm not really putting my business degree into play, because this job that I had at that time, really anybody can do. And I really wasn't doing much of a side hustle per se. So my supervisor at the time walked through the door, and as soon as he walked through the door, a light bulb came into my head, and I was like, ooh, I can do something that promotes small businesses, but how can I do it? So, I sleep on it, I think about it for a couple of days, and I go, well, I can do a podcast. Well, how do I do one? I did my research, and once I found out that you can literally start a podcast for free, it was a no-brainer after that. All the thing I needed was people to have on the show. As long as you have an email address and a place to host your podcast, it's essentially free. You don't have to buy anything. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from your laptop. I think the only thing that you may need to buy if you want to get fancy is a microphone.
Yeah.
But everything else is essentially free. So once I got that idea, I just started reaching out to people and letting them know, like, hey, I want to start a podcast and, promote small business owners and kind of discuss with them how they started and, what they do to keep themselves going and things of that nature. And, I got a few people to say, hey, yeah, no problem. I'll be on your show. And I was kind of taken back, like, oh, really? You want to be on my show? So, okay. Like, I was kind of nervous at that point. But then I said, this is what I wanted to do. And I did it. So it just kind of went from there.
Well, I am very proud of you. I am very proud to have been a guest on your podcast. You and I share a mutual friend, Stephen Askins of the Inside Inside Football Blitz. He was on your program, and he was the reason. He was the guy that led me to you and led me to your podcast. So I am very, very proud to be a guest on your podcast. I'm proud to have you on this show. And tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Oh, so they can find me. I would say the easiest way is to you can email us at blackandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. They can find us on Facebook, which is Black in Business Podcast. It can also be found on Instagram, which is Black_in_business. And we're located at on Apple, iTunes, Google Podcast. We're on what is that other one? Spotify, and I believe those are the three major ones. I mean, we're on some other smaller ones I can't think of right now, but those are the three major ones at this point.
Hey, folks, check out the Black in Business podcast. I was a guest on it. If you know someone that has a small business, and this is Black History Month, if you know someone that has a small business and they want to get featured, this is the guy you contact. This is the podcast that you're on, and you get featured on this show as well. Andre Day, one half of the Black in Business podcast, joining me here on the program. I can't thank you enough. And I recommend to the folks again, I recommend to the community, please go check out the Black in Business podcast. Thank you for your time, my friend. I can't wait to have you back on.
I appreciate it. And before I go, I just want to give a shout out to my co-host, Bearded Wonder. Once you guys listen to the show, you'll see why he's such an awesome person. And I'm glad to have him as a co-host, and I can't wait to just continue to bring you guys more episodes.
Absolutely. One day I'm going to get you both on the program so we can really have some fun with it. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Oh, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Speaking of small business, there's a lady by the name of Jennifer Garrett who will join me next after the break. Introduce a little something we'd like to call Next Level Sports. To help me out with this, and you will hear them every week on this segment, I welcome Trey Larkins of Wise Guys to the program. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to have you on. And we had a chance to talk before we started this. And this Houston Astros thing has got you really pissed off.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's this situation with Houston Astros, Brian. I've been very, very frustrated about it because I really feel like MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred hasn't handled it correctly.
Really?
And I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand why he hasn't completely stripped the Astros of the 2017 title and taking their rings from that World Series. Like, I believe that Major League Baseball has completely botched this Astros scandal. And the fact that they disrespected the integrity of the sport,
I'll give
and
you that.
I'm listening to all these interviews. Yeah, all these multiple players on these interviews, and the arrogance that Astros players are talking and saying is just very disrespectful to me. Like, I don't like it. I just think they're very arrogant. And the owner for the Astros, Jim Crane, he came out last week and he had the nerve to actually say that the scandal didn't impact the actual game. And what happened? Like, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Like, what are you saying? Because when you look at the World Series over a 2-game span, the Dodgers, they gave up 18 runs 26 hits and 6 home runs, and Jim Crane had the nerve to say the scandal didn't affect the outcome of a series. It made no sense to me.
Well, how can you prove that it did? This is the only time I'm going devil's advocate because the Astros did cheat and they did get caught. Yes. All right. I am not saying anything to the contrary of that. I understand how you and quite a few other fans are feeling, including Dodger fans, and I'll get to the Dodgers in just a moment. But would it fix anything? Bad word. Would it correct anything if they were to strip the Astros of the 2017 title and take the rings away? Your thoughts?
Yes. I feel like overall that because they cheated, they shouldn't be crowned as champions. You know, I also don't believe there should be an asterisk next to their name in the record book. I just believe they shouldn't be crowned as champions. Their rings should be revoked because they weren't suspended going into next year. They're not going to be missing the playoffs. You know, he already said they can still go to the postseason. So there's nothing that's going to be affecting them next season. So you, at least at the bare minimum, you have to strip them of the crown and also strip them of their rings because they aren't suspended. They didn't lose any money. So
that's why they didn't get suspended. Well, that's why they didn't get suspended. It would hurt MLB's bottom line because now you got to look at it this way. Now you have that team that you really love to hate outside of the New York Yankees, but that's the Yankees. That's another story. But now you have that team that you really love to hate, and you've got the reason for it. So none of the players are going to get suspended unless Rob Manfred really grows a set, and I don't think he will. And says, you know, anyone who was on that 2017 Astros team, you're banned, and they work a ban out, you know, over the course of, I'd say, 3 years. How would they work that out? That's my question. I have so many questions about this. How would they work out a ban? And in a way, I agree with you that the championship should be vacated and the ring should be taken away as well. But in another way, the championship was decided on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I understand that, but it was decided, and they had a decisive advantage because they knew what pitches were being thrown. So because you know what pitches are being thrown, that's part of the reason why the Dodgers pitchers, Brandon Morrow, Clayton Kershaw, Hugh Darvish, they looked absolutely terrible in the World Series. And they looked embarrassed, and now we know why.
Well, Clayton Kershaw gets embarrassed in the playoffs anyway. We can go back before 2017 and talk about that. I mean, he got embarrassed against the Mets. The Mets of all teams in the division series. As a matter of fact, if you look at, and I brought this stat up before, and you agreed with me on this, if you bring up Clayton Kershaw's last I can't think of the word right now. If you bring up Clayton Kershaw's elimination games since 2015, he's 0-4. He's lost 3 of those at home, and he lost to teams he should not have lost to, including this past year with Washington.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. We've known Clayton Kershaw to not show up in the postseason.
Yes.
It has happened numerous times.
Yes.
Yeah, so I agree with you about that.
Right.
Overall, we're on the same page with that. Clayton Kershaw, overall, as a pitcher in the playoffs, he folds under pressure.
He's horrible.
Time and time again.
And I understand where you're going if you go back to 2017, and I understand that, but at the same time, you know, that part of it you can just attribute to Clayton Kershaw's inability to throw the correct pitch at the right time. Just ask Howie Kendrick.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think overall, when you look at the Astros, I just think when you look at the Astros, Brian, I just hate their arrogance in this situation. And overall, they don't care. They're not showing any kind of remorse because the title wasn't vacated from them, so they could care less.
Yeah.
This was a collection of Astros who was guilty in this situation. They should all suffer, players included. And like I said, I do not understand for the life of me why the hell Jim Crane, the owner for the Astros, got up there and had the nerve to actually say that this scandal didn't affect the outcome of the World Series. I believe it affected the entire outcome. Now, again, I don't believe that the Dodgers or the Yankees should be given the World Series title by any stretch. No,
right.
I just
Thank
believe
you.
it should be vacated away. Yeah, it should be vacated away from the Houston Astros. They're cheaters, and they should have to pay for this scandal and for this situation. And like I said, it just messed up the entire integrity of Major League Baseball.
No argument there. And this is coming from a guy whose first love was baseball, so no argument there. Now, to these Dodger fans, and you and I know a couple of them mutually, will y'all please shut the hell up about we should be awarded the 2017 World Series? Yes, the Astros cheated and it wasn't found out until 2 years later, but you got to say this. When it came time to clinch a series on your home field, you got your ass kicked. Period.
Yes, I agree with you there. I agree with you about the Dodgers overall as a team. I felt like the Dodgers blew the World Series as well.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying, listen, we know the Astros cheated.
Yeah.
The Dodgers also, the Dodgers also played a part, and they collapsed in the World Series. And again, like you said, the Dodgers had a chance to win the World Series in LA, and they didn't get it done.
Nope.
So, like I said, a part of me feels like the Astros cheated, and we know that has come to pass.
Yep.
It's true.
Yep.
But the other part of me feels like the Dodgers, they had a complete choke job in the World Series in 2017.
But
so they shouldn't be awarded the title either.
But it's the Dodgers. Who the hell is surprised? Let's be honest.
Exactly.
I brought this stat up since 2014. You've ridden with me for the length of time, that this show has been on. I brought this stat up since 2014. The Dodgers have lost every elimination game on their home field. 2014 against the Cardinals, 2015 against the Mets, 2017 against the Houston Astros in the World Series, and 2018 against the Boston Red Sox. That was also the World Series. And this past season, they lost to Washington when they led 3-0. So the Dodgers didn't earn the doggone title either. They fold under pressure, and they've done it every single time they've gotten to an elimination game.
I agree with you. I agree with you completely. So that also is a whole separate thing in and of itself.
Yes.
I agree with you. I think Dodger fans need to shut the hell up. I don't think they deserve a title either. The Yankee fans don't deserve it. The Dodger fans don't deserve it. And the Astros damn sure don't deserve it. So I just think it needs to be vacated completely. There shouldn't be a champion in 2017. And like you said, in previous other seasons, the Dodgers always fold under pressure. And even when they have the advantage of having home field advantage, they still somehow, some way come up short.
And you can't explain away the Dodgers choking away a 3-0 lead in Game 5 of the division series against Washington. And then Dave Roberts, who I felt should have been fired 2 years ago, leaving Joe Kelly out there to face Howie Kendrick and then throwing him a pitch in his sweet spot? Really?
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's another thing. Dave Roberts has had a lot of questionable decisions
as an understatement
for the Dodgers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's had a lot of questionable decisions as manager for the Dodgers throughout this time that they've been competing for a World Series. So I agree with you overall, Brian, about that.
Man. My partner's Trey Larkins, the host of The Wise Guys. You're riding with Trey and Snow on Next Level Sports. Our discussion starting with the Astros and how Trey feels that title should be vacated. Now, I did have a list of things that we were going to talk about. I'm tearing it up because we're going to go off the mark here because we're going to just pick at each other for a little while because there were some things that Trey has said and I have said back to him, and people thought that he and I were actually arguing. Here's what I mean. How many times have you said something about Aaron Rodgers? And I've jumped on you.
Multiple times.
How many times have you said something about Aaron Rodgers? And after the NFC Championship, I read your post on the air, and I just broke down the stats of the NFC Championship game. And I was one of the first people you reached out to before the NFC title game saying, here comes Aaron Rodgers. Here comes Aaron Rodgers. Oh, yeah, well, here comes Nick Bosa in return, doggone it.
Yeah, and it definitely happened, man. I was, to be honest, I got to say, look, before the NFC Championship game, I had made a post. I'm gonna be honest, Brian. I was psyching myself up to actually believe that we had a chance against the Niners because early, I'll admit it. I'll admit it because earlier in the season,
you got your ass kicked. 37-8 in the Bay.
I got to admit it. So I'm guilty.
Right. And I had to pounce. After the Sunday night game. I had to pounce when you wrote a post immediately after the game, something to the tune of "That's okay, we will see you again." And I think I responded something like, "Y'all are gonna have nightmares if you see us again because we're not even healthy."
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, here's the thing, though. The week of the NFC Championship game, Brian, you've seen this post. Mm-hmm. I know you've seen it. I went on Facebook and I made a post, and I said, hey, we got Jimmy Graham. They got George Kittle.
Right.
We have a more proven tight end than George Kittle. Yes. I know George Kittle's better than. I know George Kittle is better than Graham. I just said Graham was more proven.
Right.
I also said we got the Smith brothers.
Yep.
We got Matt LaFleur.
Yep.
In his first year, he led us to a 13-3 record. They got Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan, his first year, he was terrible. I said this is the best year he's had so far since he's been a coach. I was trying to psych myself and other Packers fans into actually believing that we had a chance. Like, I knew we didn't have a snowball chance in hell with beating the Niners. The Niners defense was just too much. I knew we would.
And then on top of that, yes, I know my 49ers lost the Super Bowl, but damn it, we got there. We only threw the ball 8 times.
Yes. That's what made it even worse. But damn it, I'm a fan, Brian. I'm a fan.
I know you are. I know you are, partner. I know you're a partner.
I was sticking with my heart, man. Yeah, I was sticking with my heart. That was our heart.
And then a fella named Raheem Mostert showed up out of nowhere. And if I know you as well as I do, we've been friends a while. If I know you, brother, as well as I do, every time Raheem Mostert touched the ball, you're going, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yes, I couldn't believe it, and that was the most frustrating part about the NFC Championship, Brian. It wasn't the fact that we lost. It was how we lost. I said, how the hell did we lose a game? How did we lose a game? And Jimmy G passed 8 times.
8 times.
Like what? 8 times. Unbelievable.
I had so many friends at work. Come up to me because folks know I go do the show and then I come home. I go to work. My wife and I go to work and then we come back and then I crank up and go. But I had so many friends at work come up to me and I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes and I'm going. My friends will say, "How did you know they were going to be that bad?" I mean, my friends were coming up to me at work, and they would just yank me aside and go, "How the hell did you know it was going to be that bad?"
Yeah, man, it was pretty embarrassing. Like, it was embarrassing. Like, I gotta be honest, I have never, like, I watched the Packers games for years, bro. Yes. I've been a fan since I was 2 years old.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna be honest, I have never literally watched the game, especially since Aaron Rodgers has been our quarterback. I have never watched the game where the early part of that game, I said to myself, "Damn." Like, we really, like, I knew, like, I knew, like, the early part of the game, Brian. I really said, like, because here I am. I put on my Packers gear, Brian. I put on my Packers shorts, my Packers jersey, my Packers socks, my hat. I'm a real fan. I put on all my gear.
I know it,
I was sitting there watching it.
I know it.
Yeah, and I was watching it like, man, these boys are getting blown off the ball. I said, they wasted my Sunday night, my Sunday evening. I got to go to work tomorrow. And they wasted my Sunday evening.
I told you, my friends at work would just come up to me and they would just have this look on their face. There are a couple of folks there that are big-time Packer fans, and they wore the hat and everything, and they were trying to jinx me my last day there before I had my 2 days off. And then that Sunday, I go in, and they just looked at me. You know how your friends give you this look when you knew something they didn't? They just looked at me, dog. They just looked at me with this death stare. Like, how the hell did you pick this off? And I'm laughing the whole day. I'm laughing the whole time. One of my supervisors, you know it's bad when a supervisor approaches you. One of my supervisors came up to me and said, "Did you really expect them to score 37 points?" Hell yeah. Oh man, it's Next Level Sports with Trey Larkins and yours truly, the Snowman. We're just having fun here on this premiere edition, and folks, you're going to hear this also inside Snowman in the morning. Man, listen, there are quite a few subjects where Trey and I pick at each other a lot. Aaron Rodgers is one, and I love the videos when you are in your Packer when you're in your Packer garb. I'm glad y'all beat the Bears, even though the Bears are my hometown team. But I knew you had no shot in hell against the 49ers twice. And the first time we beat you, as I mentioned before, we were beat up. We didn't have everybody. Come NFC Championship, we were completely healthy, and you said, "I don't care if y'all are completely healthy. We're going to beat you in the Bay." No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, it was rough, man, because like a lot of times when it comes to football, when you look at games from a defensive standpoint, you are actually okay if a quarterback drops back to pass and beats you with his arm. He throws for over 400 yards, 500 yards. Mm-hmm. But when you have a team that has over 200 rushing yards in a particular playoff game, like the 49ers, they literally snatched the Packers' defensive front hearts from their chest. Like they literally snatched their hearts from their chest, and it was a complete domination by that offensive line for the 49ers. They dominated the game in the trenches. Yeah. And it brought me back to old school football, Brian, to be honest, because this is what they did back in the 80s and the 90s. They were running the football in playoff games. Exactly.
we ran the football, and the defensive line of the Packers, and I know you praised them and you had every reason to, they only got to Garoppolo once. And that was by luck. That was by pure unadulterated luck, and it led to a field goal, and at the time it put us up 10-0. And then the second quarter, it was y'all were buried in the dirt.
Exactly. And then because I've said all year, I think that Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, they were great pickups for my Packers in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they were.
I like both of those brothers.
Yes.
Yeah, but those guys, they're pass rushers. So coming into the game, I felt like if the game is close, if we can apply some pressure to Jimmy Garoppolo, may get some turnovers, get some more opportunities for Aaron Rodgers. It never even got to that point because the Niners ran the football effectively. So Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even have to throw the ball more than 8 times.
We ran the ball 44 times. You know why you didn't get to Garoppolo? We ran the ball 44 times. 42 times, I beg your pardon. I'm looking at the stats right now. My wife's pulling it up for me. 42 times we ran the ball in that game.
Definitely. And the thing is, when you play sports and you play a team in a regular season and then you play them in the playoffs, if you get beat in a regular season, you feel like when we get to the playoffs, it may be a different moment. Maybe we can outplay that team, whatever the case may be. But I got to be honest, this year it didn't matter if we played you guys in Green Bay, or you played in San Francisco, we played at Paul Brown Stadium. In 2 games this year, when the Packers played the Niners, you guys have outscored us 74 to 28.
74 to 28.
You're the better team. You're the better, and that's to be honest. A lot of times, I got to say this too, real quick, Brian. A lot of times when it comes to football and like my Packers, when we lose a close playoff game, I'd be devastated. Like back in the 2014 NFC Championship game. Yep. When we lost to Seattle, I was devastated. I felt like we should have won that. Yeah, I was devastated. And it's been other games where like we got beat, but this one wasn't really hard for me to get over after about a day because I just felt like, hey, the Niners were a better team than us. Period. Once you can accept that a team is better than your team,
Yeah.
It helps you sleep better at night. It
Right.
helps you sleep better.
It does.
It's hard when teams aren't as good as your team, or
And they
you
still
feel like,
beat you.
"Dang, we was in the game, we had a chance." Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and they still beat you. I tell you what, man. Like I told you, folks. He and I pick on each other a lot online. We do it in fun. And after the Sunday night game, I mentioned something to Trey about y'all are going to have nightmares about George Kittle if we see you again. And Trey immediately jumped on it, and I knew he would. He was like, "Nah, we're not going to have any problems with George Kittle. He only caught the ball once tonight." Yeah, problem is it went for 61 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. That's
It went for 60. Like, yeah, we only limited Kittle to one catch. Yeah, here's the problem. It went for 61 yards and a touchdown and basically put the game out of reach.
exactly. And you know what's so funny? In the NFC Championship game, Kittle didn't do much, but he didn't have to.
No,
he didn't have to. Yeah, he didn't have to. He didn't have to. But that leads me to another conversation I want to ask you, Brian.
All right.
Speaking of George Kittle, who do you believe is the best tight end in pro football?
It's a tie.
Kelsey or Kittle?
It's a tie. It's a tie. Kelsey because he won the Super Bowl. Kittle because he does everything. Kelsey does everything also. I mean, the two of the best tight ends, and I think they're going to meet in Tampa next year. And yes, I'm putting a very bold prediction out there. Look, there's not much difference between Travis Kelce and George Kittle. But the play of the year goes to Kittle with that play he made against New Orleans on 4th and 2, where he dragged three Saints down the field with him for 30 yards.
Yes, and if you remember at that time, in that game, it was the Saints and the Niners that was fighting for home field advantage in the NFC.
Yeah.
So the Niners needed that game.
New Orleans was the number one seed at the time. The 49ers came in, they hung with the Saints, and it was 46-40. It was 46-45, and then magic happened on 4th and 2. I couldn't believe that play. And here's another funny story for you. I was watching it. Wife and I were taking a nap, or trying to take a nap before we had to do a night shift at work. But I had to lay completely still and not shake the bed in excitement so I wouldn't wake my wife up.
Yeah, that was a big time play. You said, you could make an argument that was the play of the year. That was a hell of a play because the Niners needed that play. It was a 4th and 2, and Garoppolo, he went to a security blanket and George Kittle. But I do agree with you about the comparison of George Kittle and Kelsey. Both of those players are great players.
Man.
I believe that I think I give Kittle a slight edge as far as
it's a very slight edge because Kelsey's learning to block better. Okay, Kelsey has a few 1,000-yard seasons, but Kittle knows his role. Kittle knows his role. He knows he's more of a he's just recently become a pass catching tight end. Folks, I have the clip queued up. This is courtesy of Fox Sports, the New Orleans Saints and the San Francisco 49ers. Here's the situation. It was 4th and 2 for San Francisco. They needed to convert this or the game was over as the Niners only had one timeout remaining. This is the play that Trey and I say is the play of the year. Again, courtesy of Fox Sports.
Garoppolo fires. It is caught still on his feet is Kittle with a big play and the stiff arm. George Kittle. Flags flying. He's down to the 30. What?
I saw that and I went, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that and I went, did he just do that?
Yeah, that was a big time play. That was definitely a big time play.
Now,
when it comes to that game, go ahead.
That was the game of the year. That was
a great game.
Forget the Super Bowl. That was the game of the year. Saints and the 49ers. Here's another thing that Trey and I pick on each other a lot about. Trey seems to think, and you know I'm doing this in fun, Trey seems to think that he knows the NBA point guard that has the best handles, but he always comes up with the wrong answer. He always seems to come. I tell you what, in the years that Trey and I have been friends, We have argued between Kyrie Irving and Stephen Curry for almost every NBA conversation that we've had online, man.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Because it's fun. It's fun when you can talk with someone and they pick on you and you pick on them right back. Trey made a post one day that caught my attention. And he says, I don't care what anybody says, Kyrie Irving has the best handles in the NBA. Argue with me. I was the first one that commented and said, okay, no problem. He doesn't. And I could just see Trey's face drop. He's laughing, but I see his face drop. And he's like, you dare argue against me? Hell yeah, I do, because I know someone that's got better handles than Kyrie Irving. And he says, who is that? I want you. He kept begging me, and I couldn't respond for a while because I was at work at the time. And he says, I dare you to tell me someone who has better handles than Kyrie Irving. Okay, he wears number 30. And he goes, you're kidding, right? Hell no, I'm not kidding. We've been friends since, and we've been arguing about that since that day.
Yeah, we have. I do agree with you that Steph Curry does have tremendous handles, but I think Kyrie Irving, in his own right, has great handles. I think those two are definitely top three.
He does. I've always agreed with you that he does. But see, there's an advantage. See, Kyrie hit a championship winning shot in 2016. And then a year later, Steph returned the favor after going behind his back and between his legs, nearly losing the dribble, and then he buried a three from the corner that sealed up Game 5 a year later. So that cancels each other out.
Yeah, but you gotta also throw in there in that game-winning shot by Kyrie. It was over
Steph.
Curry.
It was over Steph.
Yeah.
So Steph returned the favor the next year over Kyrie after baking him with a dribble, and then he launched another ridiculous shot, and he buried it from the corner.
Yeah. That actually leads me to another thing I wanted to ask you about Steph Curry. Yeah. I was listening to Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr was talking about it's a possibility that Steph Curry may return to the lineup in March. Do you believe the Warriors should play Steph Curry this year, or do you think he should sit out the rest of the season?
No. Let him completely heal. Let Klay Thompson completely heal. Because they're going to have one of the top 5 draft picks, and they're going after a big man. They're going after a big man that can run the floor. In fact, I'll put a rumor out there right now. The Warriors acquired Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell. There is another piece from Minnesota that's in play, and that piece is Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah. Yep. I've heard that. I've heard those rumblings. I agree with you about Steph Curry. I believe the Warriors, I don't care what they do, but they need to let Steph Curry know, hey, go home, be a family man, Aisha and the kid. You've had 5 straight finals. 5 straight. Yes, 5 straight finals appearances. I believe at some point there's wear and tear on your body. Mm-hmm. I believe Steph Curry should sit at home. I don't think the Warriors should even want him at the facility. I really thought he's been to the finals 5 straight
but
years.
But see, Steph Curry is a shooter. Off. Yes, Steph deserves time off. Klay deserves time off. That whole team deserves some time off, and this year, unfortunately, is that time off. But you know what's pissing them off? That they're not in contention for top seed in the West or a playoff spot in the West. But here's what I think is going to happen, and this is totally a rumor. This is totally my thoughts. Karl Anthony Towns is in play for the Golden State Warriors. Okay? There's a chance that not only Karl Anthony Towns returns, but D'Angelo Russell returns with him. Because now the Warriors have some draft capital to dangle in front of Minnesota. You get Karl Anthony Towns, and a lot has been made about his defense or lack thereof in Minnesota. He was playing defense under Tom Thibodeau. Okay? You get Karl Anthony Towns in that system with Mike Brown coaching him, he will be so dynamite and so dangerous, and you're going to look up and see, wait a minute, where the hell do the Warriors come from? Again.
Yes, I agree with you. But here's the thing, though, Brian. Even without Karl Anthony Towns, anytime that you have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the best shooting backcourt we've ever seen.
Ever.
Anytime you have those two on the court together, guess what? The Warriors are a championship contender. You know it, and I know it, and I know you're a Warriors fan, so I know you love this.
Thank you. Somebody that agrees with what I'm feeling when it comes to the Golden State Warriors. There are three teams that I follow religiously: my hometown Bulls, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Golden State Warriors. And a lot of people seem to think I'm a bandwagon fan, but you know what? There was a fellow named Tim Hardaway. There were fellows named Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, and Mitch Richmond that made me follow the Warriors back in the 90s. Then came the We Believe team with Steven Jackson and Baron Davis in 2007. I've been a full-time Warrior fan since 2007 with that We Believe team. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are the best damn shooting backcourt, period.
Yes. I completely agree with you. And if both of those guys come back healthy next year,
it's
the Warriors
trouble.
will definitely be championship picture.
It's trouble.
They'll be right back in the championship picture. I've been telling everybody this for weeks about the Warriors. I said this year they're taking a year off.
And that's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. Because people are still buying up tickets to the Chase Center in a heartbeat. And you know what made my year for as far as covering the Warriors? They beat the Houston Rockets in the Chase Center on Christmas Day.
Yes, they did. They did. And I said, when that happened, I said, this is inexcusable for the Rockets. I said, anytime James Harden is in the Bay, he always comes up short. Like, he never gets it done when he plays the Warriors in Golden State. Like, it never happens. He had horrors and nightmares at Oracle Arena. Now he's having nightmares
at Chase Center.
Chase Center.
He had nightmares in Oakland. He's having bigger nightmares in San Francisco because the loss in San Francisco was minus the Splash Brothers.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. Let me ask you a question, too, about...
Go for it.
Go ahead, Brian. My bad. Go ahead.
What's your question? Go for it.
I was going to say, when it comes to the NBA overall, we know we're about to get back into the second half of the season. And, you know, so far, the Lakers are the leaders in the West, and the Eastern Conference is the Bucks. Who is your favorite right now to be in the NBA Finals? Who you got winning
it? I feel like Kawhi with that laugh, but anyway.
Did you just give up your answer?
Clippers, Raptors.
Wow, interesting. Oh, wow. Well, let's start off in the Western Conference. I agree with you. I think the Clippers will be in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers, but I have the Clippers beating the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals because
the Lakers won't even see the Western Conference Finals.
Really? You don't have them in there?
I'll borrow one of your answers that I love saying a lot. Hell no!
So who do you have beating the Lakers in the playoffs? Do you think the Rockets can get them?
Once again, hell no. The team that will take out the Lakers will be the Denver Nuggets.
The Nuggets, interesting. Yeah, because right now, the way the standings are, the Nuggets are the second seed. I think the Clippers are going to be the second seed when it's all said and done in the Western Conference. Would you agree?
We shall see. Hey, crazy. Yeah. It's the Western Conference. You know crazy things happen in the Western Conference. It'll be the second half of the year, and the most stupid things happen in the Western Conference second half of the year. Even during Golden State's run, stupid things happen. Just ask the Houston Rockets. They won 65 games 2 years ago and got spanked at home in Game 7.
Yes, they did. But right now, when you look at the standings, if it stays the way it's currently constructed, the Nuggets will play the Clippers in the second round.
Yep.
I think the Clippers will beat the Nuggets. Yeah, I think the Clippers will beat the Nuggets. And in the second round, the Lakers would play either the Jazz or the Rockets. Jazz and the Rockets are in that 4 or 5 spot.
Okay. To be honest, I'll say Utah takes out the Lakers.
I can't go that far.
I'm going that far, and I got a very good reason. This is where Next Level Sports Talk comes in, folks. I got a very good reason. The Lakers do not have a point guard.
Completely agree with you. You know what's so funny, Brian? Yesterday, I was on Twitter, and all of a sudden I get a notification to my phone. Oh, Reggie Jackson reaches a buyout with the Detroit Pistons. He's expected to sign. He's expected to sign with the Lakers. No, not the Lakers. The Clippers. I said, what? I said the Lakers should have been trying to get Reggie Jackson. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
the Lakers should have been trying to get Derrick Rose.
Yeah, Derrick Rose too. But even if you can't get Derrick Rose, they could have at least got Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson can create his own shot. He's a facilitator. He's a playmaker. I think he could have helped the Lakers. You remember they were trying to get Darren Collison.
Yeah,
Darren
Collison took a look at that dumpster fire and went, "Hell no, I don't want a part of that."
Yeah, exactly. But that actually leads me to my other point about why I agree with you that the Clippers will beat the Lakers. I don't know if it'll be in the Western Conference Finals, but I think the Clippers are going to be representing the West in the finals because the Clippers, if they do play the Lakers, they got 4 players they can send to guard LeBron James: Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Morris, and Patrick Beverly.
And they won't need all 4 of them. They'll just tell the Claw, sick them. They'll tell the Claw to sick them.
But the thing is, Brian, they don't even need Kawhi to guard LeBron, to be honest. Kawhi can save his energy for the offensive end.
Yep.
And that really is going to be problems for the Lakers because other than LeBron James, they have no other playmakers on their team.
None. They nearly got beat by the Denver Nuggets before the All-Star break, and that took overtime.
Yes, it did. It did. And like I said, I disagree with you. I think the Lakers will get to the Western Conference Finals because I do think LeBron James and Anthony Davis as a duo will be a little bit too much for the Jazz, and if they had to play like the Grizzlies or the Mavericks in the first round, I think they'll be a little bit too much for those teams. But they'll lose to the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals for sure. For sure. Like
I still say West semifinals is as far as the Lakers will go. Okay, it's the Western Conference. It's really going to depend on who gets what seed. Speaking of seeds, I'm going to make a very bold prediction. The team that gets the number 8 seed and that will give the Lakers the business in the first round before eventually being eliminated will be the Portland Trailblazers.
I agree with you. I think the way Damian Lillard is playing, I know he had the injury before the All-Star break. I think his injury is growing.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah. That's not good. But if Damian Lillard comes back and he's anywhere close to 100%, I don't see there's any way in hell that Damian Lillard doesn't get the Trailblazers into the playoffs. I think it's going to happen. And I agree with you. I think the Lakers will probably win that series against the Trailblazers, but it'll be a tough 6 games.
Portland's going to give the Lakers the business, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the distance. I would not be surprised if LeBron gets taken the distance by the Portland Trailblazers in the first round. Now, as for the Eastern Conference, can we please just shut it down that the Philadelphia 76ers are not getting to the Eastern Conference Finals? Can we shut that down, please?
Yes, because I believe, especially if they stay right now they're in the 5th spot. So they'll play Miami in the first round. They'll lose to Miami. Miami will beat the Sixers.
Everybody in the East can give the Sixers the business for the simplest of reasons. Philadelphia can't win on the road.
Yes, they're terrible on the road. 9-19 on the road. They're 25-2 at home. They're 9-19 on the road. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that Brett Brown is the coach for the Sixers moving forward? Do you think he's going to be the coach to get them to the next level?
No.
Me either. I don't think so either.
But the only way Brett Brown stays is if either Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid takes a hike. And I think Ben Simmons is going to take a hike.
Yes, I agree. Because the problem I have with Brett Brown, he doesn't develop his players well.
Nope.
We talked about all season long about whether or not Ben Simmons is going to be able to hit consistent jump shots. Brian, he doesn't even take jump shots. Not only, he's not even taking the jump shots. Like, what do you do? Like,
why is he so afraid to take a jump shot? Why is he so afraid to take a jump shot?
But that's coaching, Brian. That's coaching because your coach has to let you know we need you to hit consistent jump shots. Ain't what you've been working on in the gym? That's all we needed Ben Simmons to work on, if you're a Sixers fan, was hitting consistent jump shots.
Not only that, but hitting some free throws. He's a lefty.
Yeah.
Not only that, hitting some free throws. Because if you notice, the last 2 series Philadelphia was in, he was sitting on the bench in crunch time. Because if he's on the floor in the final 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, they're going to foul the hell out of him. Yeah, go to the line and make some free throws.
Yeah, you got to hit your free throws. And the thing is, half the time when I'm watching Joel Embiid, I like Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid has tremendous upside, and he can be a superstar. But half the time when I'm watching Embiid, Brian, he's out of shape. He's out of shape. He's tired going up and down the floor. He doesn't have that motor that the Greek Freak has, and he's going to need that for the Sixers to win in the playoffs.
And Embiid doesn't have that motor, and I'll tell you someone else who doesn't have that motor and won't have it for a couple of years. That's Zion Williamson. Have you seen him go up and down the floor? I'm not impressed.
So you think he needs to lose some weight too? Do you think that'll help his game?
And he's playing. Some weight, not only does he need to lose some weight, I think he's playing out of position.
So you don't think he's because what they got him playing like the 5, right? Playing like a 5 a lot.
Yep. They need to pull him out. They need to pull him out of the post, make him lose about 40 pounds, and then make him shoot about 100 jump shots an hour. I think Zion Williamson needs to be a shooting guard.
Really?
I think Zion needs to be. I look at it this way. I'll give you a perfect example. There's a fellow named Charles Barkley who's in the Hall of Fame, known as the round mound rebound for many reasons. In Philadelphia, he was this big man that lumbered up and down the floor. Now, he had a completely different motor than Zion Williamson. That's why I love watching Barkley play. But at the same time, when Barkley was traded from Philadelphia to Phoenix, you know how much weight he lost to really get himself in shape to run in the Western Conference? How do you think he won the MVP in 1993? And not only that, he added something very, very important, a consistent jump shot from long range.
Yes, I agree with you about that. I understand where you're coming from that standpoint. I think overall, though, this year, they were talking about on First Take earlier, who's the Rookie of the Year. It's by far Ja Morant. Ja Morant
was Rookie of the Year getting off the bus.
Yes, he's having a hell of a year.
Ja Morant was the Rookie of the Year getting off the train station before he was selected.
Yes.
Ja Morant came ready. All right? Ja Morant was ready.
This year, he's averaging 18 points per game on 49% shooting, 7 assists per game. So, Ja Morant is a great facilitator. He's a tremendous playmaker, and he is changing the culture in Memphis. Memphis has something with this Ja Morant kid.
Yeah.
Yes, they have something.
It's the return of the grindhouse.
I've been seeing all these people talk about, well, maybe Zion can find himself in the Rookie of the Year conversation.
No.
This is Ja Morant award right now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to finish the year that way. He's been playing some great basketball.
Man, please. I love Ja Morant. Loved watching him at Murray State. He's only gotten better. And besides, whenever you hit a three-pointer in James Harden's eyes, in James Harden's face, you have my vote.
Yes, for certain. I want to get back to the Eastern Conference real quick. And I want to talk about the Bucks because, you know, last year the Bucks were the number 1 overall seed in the Eastern Conference, lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to Kawhi and the Raptors.
Yep.
This year, they're the number 1 overall seed again, and
they're going to lose again.
They're playing some.
No, I don't trust the Bucks to get out of the East because all you have to do to beat the Bucks is do what Toronto did: send a posse after Giannis. And I mean that defensively.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been seeing everyone riding this Milwaukee Bucks to the finals train, and I believe the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, I know, but everybody else is. All the experts, they predicting the Bucks would be in the finals. I disagree completely. I think the Bucks could lose to the Miami Heat in the second round. I really do. Yeah, I'm not a sole believer in the Bucks, and here's one of the reasons why. The Greek Freak, he doesn't have any consistent moves on the offensive side of the ball. Like when it's time to make a move and the game is late, and all games in the playoffs are close games, and you have to be a player that can create his own shot, to get to a certain point on the floor, get to the free throw line. Those are the issues that I have with the Greek Freak. He obviously doesn't hit consistent jump shots, and one of the problems that I have with his game, offensively, he struggles. He struggles overall being able to get to his spot. Like a Kawhi Leonard, like a Kevin Durant when he was playing. before his injury. He struggles being able to get to a certain spot and hit a shot that he can rely on in a playoff series, and that could be some issues for the Bucks the later they get into the playoffs.
And here's something, we'll close with this. Here's something I've said about Giannis Antetokounmpo, even though he's added a jump shot, it's not consistent. I've said 4 words about Giannis since he's been in the league. Giannis Antetokounmpo can't shoot.
He can't. He can't.
He can't shoot.
He can't shoot. He can't shoot. And, I believe in a playoff series, if they're going up against the Miami Heat, the way Jimmy Butler is playing.
It's trouble.
And leading that team, it's trouble. It's trouble. And now they actually have Andre Iguodala and Jay Crowder, 2 players who can help the Miami Heat defensively.
Yeah, one of them who's won 3 world championships. This is the indictment. Exactly. We'll leave with this note before we head to break. I'll leave with this note. This is an indictment against the Los Angeles Lakers. 2 of them. You had 2 All-Stars and 1 3-time champion. The 3-time champion being Andre Iguodala, the All-Stars, both Iguodala and Derrick Rose. And they got neither of them. Oops. Oops.
Yeah. Neither of them. It made no sense. They didn't make no moves. I didn't understand it for the life of me. And I said, with Marcus Morris going to the Clippers, the Lakers, if anything, should have just traded for him to keep him away from the Clippers. If they just do something to keep him away from the Clippers.
But
they didn't do it.
Who's in charge? Who's in charge? Rob frickin' Pelinka.
Yep. It's Rob Pelinka.
There's the problem. Rob Pelinka ain't nowhere near Jerry Buss.
He's not. He is not.
There's the problem, Laker Nation. There's your problem. As soon as you clean up your front office, you can actually make some moves that actually work. And I wouldn't be surprised that in 2 years' time, Anthony Davis says, I'm the hell out of here. If not earlier.
Me either. Yes, that's what people are saying. And he's from Chicago. And the All-Star game was in Chicago this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if
the Bulls made a play for him in the offseason. In this coming offseason, if the Bulls didn't make a play for him.
Yes, I agree with you. I definitely could see the Bulls pursuing Anthony Davis. He's from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He lives in that area. So if the Lakers come up short in the playoffs and they have an early playoff exit,
the Bulls are making a move.
See Anthony Davis. Yeah, we could possibly see Anthony Davis looking over in Chicago. Go over there and help that team. The little
Next Level Sports Talk. You can hear it easily with Yoshi, the Snowman, and Trey Larkin with Trey. A pleasure, my man. An absolute joy.
Yes, sir. I agree with you on that. I'm excited about it. I love doing this with you, man. It's going to be fun. It's definitely going to be a fun time.
It is going to be fun. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. You have a good one.